But little is offered about employing technology inside the classroom and teacher competencies and skills, and coursework adaptation and supplementing material. And I started to question whether AFL teachers might need more customized content when it comes to training offerings. So maybe training providers might think more about the most sought-after teaching competencies and professional seniority, like these training needs or development needs might differ according to the stages of our careers, like mid-career, early career, and senior teachers. So that's why I started to read about this topic. So it's sort of the curiosity that Mr. Muhammad again talked about. For the reading stage, so I faced some challenges like bias. So I was like inclined to assume that the teacher training needs will definitely differ according to the level of professional experience. So I was reading for that aim and in that direction. So my reading was focused on, or my class was focused on finding studies about training for AFL teachers. So, and the difference with regards to the level of experience. So I didn't find much to read actually. And the second challenge was in inflexibility in locating resources, because I was stuck in one angle, and of course the result was too very limited resources. So one strategy I followed is to research, and that was actually the advice of my advisors, Dr. Dalal and Dr. Rabba, to research teacher development in diverse contexts, like for AFL teachers, for Chinese teachers, for whatever language teachers, so that I can get more insights into this topic. And to read different studies and reports issued by international organizations like the World Bank organizations and policy makers, the Qatar Foundation as well. So these reports do not seem or do not look academic or pedagogical, but they help a lot. And teacher reflections, maybe on podcasts, YouTube, on blogs, and of course, student journals. Those help a lot as well. Okay. And one key strategy for the reading was in literature review. I considered the research questions that I am writing for my research. So I read in light of the research questions and the findings as well. So let me explain this. So when I start reading about the topic, so I start thinking about what findings I wish to find at the end of my research and my research question, what I'm actually looking for in order to get some structure in my literature review. Why? Because, okay, and let's get some brainstorming help from AI. Why all this is to relate what you will get at the end to what you have read and what fellow researchers have got, so that you can have some information that you can use in the discussions of your findings. And that was also the advice of my colleagues and my advisors. Okay, again, another key strategy for the reading. So I kept reading, which was good, but I never started writing the review. unless I start writing, I can find what I need to use. Because the more you write, the more you remove unnecessary quotes and start looking for necessary information. For the methodology for, okay. So first of all, I was planning to have like a questionnaire for the quantitative part and focus groups for the qualitative too. But again, one of my advisors said that the possible output of those groups was that like some participants would say, I think training for teachers is good. I agree with all what you have said. I like professional development, so you have to be ready for all those scenarios. Okay, and in focus groups, if you are lucky, you might get some people to organize or to add to your thesis, but that is not guaranteed all the time. So I opted for online interviews to be conducted after the questionnaire and based on what I get from the questionnaire. So the expected outcome was like the discussions and conversations with participants became more personalized and hence more friendly, and it was relevant to the questionnaire and the responses of the participants to the questionnaire. So they can ponder again, reflect on what they have put into the questionnaire and maybe validate these points of view or refute them. And actually some participants revisited what we have written and said, okay, now I disagree with what I have written, so that I have to manage all this in writing experience. And of course, more relaxed conversations and richer output. Okay, for the methodology, one key strategy for the questionnaire was to consider which parts of the questionnaire will be generate numerical data and which would generate descriptive data. And if you need afterwards to generate numerical data out of descriptive data, if you find like regular patterns, why? Again, because you are going to relate what you have to what other researchers have got. Again, another key strategy is, as Mr. Mohammed Fergani said, some participants might find it challenging if they find the questionnaire in one language, Arabic or English, and the major, like the most prominent part of the population actually found English very challenging because they are Arabic and teachers. So I provided an Arabic version of their questionnaire, which was very helpful, and it got most of the responses actually. And again, using simplified terminology, or if you have to use pedagogical and academic terminology, be prepared for another scenario if some participants like refrain from responding because they cannot deal with that terminology. And of course, get help from community to get as many responses and participants as you can. So I asked colleagues, I asked former students that now work as Arabic and Quran teachers. I reached out to language centers, like the Tafsir Center in Alexandria. So why is this helpful? Because that would ensure greater participation and and maybe encourage newly qualified teachers to participate. And that was a message sent to me by one of my former students who works as a teacher of Arabic about her colleagues. So they didn't participate because they didn't understand such pedagogical terms like scaffolding, and they said they might be doing this inside the classroom, but they don't really understand what it means. Like this is just one example. Okay. This is a WhatsApp message from another participant. And yeah, and this is what I got from the Catching Center. Another case study. Yeah, again, some participants said that they are willing to do the interviews after they submitted their responses to the questionnaire, but like when I waited 1 or 2 weeks, it was gone. So I couldn't reach them because they were busy doing other things. So that was my mistake. So again, I started to think of like offering more than one scheduling option. So if you are available, 1, 2, 3, so they can pick one slot. Yeah, and one helpful strategy is to attach a copy of the participant's response so that they can remember who I am and yeah, what we were talking about. Again, why? Because participants forget and lose interest in the topic and have other commitments too. And for the data, so I had like qualitative and quantitative data, and the challenge was I got like too much data, and some of the data, actually a great deal of the data were irrelevant to apparently irrelevant to the research questions. So as a beginner in research, I couldn't find like a direct link between. So what does it say? What does it have to do with the research questions that I was looking for? And of course, the transcribing part of the interview that I'm going to use, and feeling lost. A strategy like just checking completed thesis of my colleagues at Fountain and some other platforms, and asking for colleagues' help, of course, and noticing the structure of those theses so that I can like keep in mind how to organize the data that I have, and of course leaving irrelevant input and focusing on the 3 research questions as my rubric, the criteria that I am looking for. One key strategy is, and for the writing part, so first of all, again, I didn't know how to start writing and what to write actually. Okay, I know my topic, I know my research questions, but again, I have all the data, and I told Dr. Dalal I'm going to finish everything in 10 days, like 2 days for each research questions, and some extra days to relax and to have everything else. And it took me like 2 more months to figure out how things would work. So again, one big challenge is that you have too much data. A lot of it is irrelevant. Okay, so that was tempting to insert irrelevant details everywhere because you have data for management and thinking. Okay, so again, I checked completed thesis of my colleagues and asked for their help and started to code and find patterns in the data. Again, the same thing, going back to the research question. Go. So examples of the irrelevant data that you might come across in the questionnaire, the open areas, and in the interviews that I was asking about the weaknesses of training. That was an open-ended question, and some participants just commented on using culture inside the classroom and its impact on the students' attitude. Another example, that's just a general reflection. Again, the point was on understanding learning and learner. these were some of the responses, some of which might be placed in other parts of the thesis, but not under this title. Okay. One key strategy for writing is if you have too much data and you are stuck in one structure, X set, X noted, X added that, so you might ask, differentiate between main and additional arguments so that you don't feel lost, and use AI for the right styles and structure. Maybe you attach part of your paragraph and say refine or get other verbs, other vocabulary to use. And of course, I find it very helpful to go back to the earlier sections before the findings, like the literature review, the introduction, to refine and enhance them, because now you are having, you are gaining greater insight into the topic and you can add more to these parts. And the conclusions, still guys, I still believe that training needs should be different based on the professional experience, although the participants and everyone involved said no, it's the same. That's what I hope for. How to write a conclusion. So again, check completed thesis and how people dealt with the problem they had, and ask colleagues, present what you had, not what you want to have, and again, use the research questions plus the findings that you have for your conclusion. Yeah, use AI advice, but discreetly, because sometimes AI, a lot of times actually changes the meaning of what you think of. Lessons learned. So this is a screenshot from my notebook that I used to write during that wonderful journey. So, what? So again, time management and choosing tasks. So for example, you have the findings. You will not write about all the findings in one go, but you will start with research question number 1, specifically quantitative data, specifically relating it to demographic data. So by chunking tasks, things get easier at first. And do not have or get rid of last-minute titles. Again, I should manage my expectations. There is no perfect thesis, so no perfection needed. And start, and then reflect and relate, and then refine. So we have just to start. Yeah, to have the seminar, not to cry very long. Yeah. Because like 2 days before submission, the final submission, Dr. Derek just wrote one tiny comment. If you can find one more resource for that piece of information, so I left everything and started trying this. I'm not going to research for any other resources. Anxiety is moment, of course. Yep.